some kind of butterfly. Baby, you give me midnight. You whip up my appetite. Don't leave me here high and dry. Baby, you give me ice and fire. You're channeling wind and rain. You're some kind of butterfly. Baby, you give me midnight. You whip up my appetite. Don't leave me here high and dry. Oh.
Hi Mark Oluwafafami, you have successfully clocked in at 8:05 a.m. Have a fantastic day. Ogo Mark Oluwafafami, you already clocked in for work at 8:05 a.m. today. Ogo Mark Oluwafafami, you already clocked in for work at 8:05 a.m. today. Hi Joseph Muima, you have successfully clocked in at 8:08 a.m. Have a fantastic day. Ogo Joseph Muima, you already clocked in for work at 8:08 a.m. today. Ogo Joseph Muima, you already clocked in for work at 8:08 a.m. today. Ogomak Oluwafafami, you already clocked in for work at 8:05 a.m. today. Hi Joseph Muima, you did not clock in today. Therefore, you cannot clock out. Hi Mark Oluwafafami, you did not clock in today. Therefore, you cannot clock out. Hi Joseph Muima, you have successfully clocked in at 7:44 a.m. Have a fantastic day. Hi Mark Oluwafor for me, you did not clock in today. Therefore, you cannot clock out. Hi Joseph Muima, you have successfully clocked out at 5:25 p.m. See you tomorrow. Hi Mark Oluwafor for me, you did not clock in today. Therefore, you cannot clock out. Unknown staff. Use correct finger for clock out.